Hey everyone, and welcome back for a Wednesday Hump Day edition of Lunch Break Live with me, Ivana. And we are all kind of still recapping some of the governor's press conference yesterday, trying to figure out what this means for you and I, and also for small businesses. So today I am joined by Paul Shunnarah. Now, Paul owns Gauntlet Fitness in Homewood, which is a gym, and then he also owns Fit 5 Meals. So he has got a little bit of a unique perspective from the gym side of things, where they are not allowed to reopen, according to the governor yesterday, and also from food and how to do that curbside, how to do that pickup and everything. So Paul's really well situated to talk about these things. And Paul has also been a small business owner for a long time. He's owned several businesses since he was a teenager. So it's so good to have you here, Paul. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk with us about the trouble small businesses are facing during COVID-19. If any of you are a small business owner, or you have questions for Paul, or if you just have questions in general, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be checking them right here, and we will do our best to get you answers. So thanks again, Paul. Let me just get you to start off by telling us a little bit about your businesses and how you have been, what you faced during this 6-7 week closure.
Okay, so as you know, I own Gauntlet Fitness in Homewood. So this is a kickboxing studio where we do high intensity kickboxing training. It's a group class. So as you guys know, a couple months back, they had banned the idea of group classes when the situation for COVID first hit. So one of the ways that we've had to do this is, and we've had to be reactive to everything. So we haven't been able to necessarily put a plan in place instantly, because those rules and regulations were changing by the day. So things that we implemented, on that first Monday, all got changed by Wednesday. So one of the things that we've done the Zoom classes. We actually had a videographer come by, and we did our own portal on our website. So our own members could actually access this portal, and they were able to see videos of workouts, at-home tips, nutrition, and advice, allowing our customers to kind of maintain that fitness and that goals that they were on. Because, this is the biggest time of year for people in the fitness industry. You're getting around to warmer weather. You're spending time at the beach or at your lake, especially in Alabama. So I think everybody was kind of geared up for that. And then we, kind of hit that plateau, and we all had to kind of change the way we were doing things, working out at home, running through parks and so forth.
And something that I think is interesting too, that I know you've done at your gym, is you have been really open to letting members go in and borrow equipment so they could do those at-home workouts. And I know that that's one thing you've kind of adjusted to, being a gym owner during a time where people can't go to the gym.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think we had I think it was in our duty to do that for our members, because several of our members had already paid for that month. Because if you remember, this happened in the middle of March. So several of our members had already paid, I guess you'd say, like a prorated amount for the month, and then they were unable to come to the gym. So we had this obligation to ourselves and to our members to be able to deliver some type of experience, whether it was coming in and borrowing a kettlebell or a resistant band from us, or having us send you personalized workouts because you didn't have any equipment at home, or you had moved back to your family's house. So one of the toughest things for us was that several of our members are UAB students or Sanford students. So when they sent them home for the semester, so we started getting emails from clients saying, hey, I'm no longer in Birmingham. So that was a battle in itself. We really had to take everybody on an individual basis, because some people were still allowed to work and some people weren't. So we kind of had to tackle each person separately. So we worked as a team to individually respond to our members and just kind of see where they stood and what they needed from us and where we can help them. And we started a Facebook group so that we could have a communication channel with everybody. And we've tried to stay on top of that every day.
Well, and tell me a little bit about Fit 5. So I know this is a meal service, and luckily, I guess for you and your partner, you don't have a restaurant set up where people come in and dine in anyway. So you are a little bit more situated maybe than some other food industry people to go ahead and just do pickup.
For sure. So some of the messages I got from friends and family were like, hey, did you know this was coming? Because Fit 5 essentially had hit all these responsibilities that were set for restaurant owners of exactly what they needed to do. And we were already doing that. For example, one of the local community efforts, Frontline Heroes, Lindsay Lutz reached out to us and says, hey, I need to get some food from you guys delivered to the hospital, but here are the conditions. We need to have labels. The meals need to be cold. They don't need to come hot, because when they're dropped off for the nurses, they may not be eating that meal for 7 to 8 hours. The meals need to be labeled with allergens so nobody gets sick. They need to be able to be delivered. So we have all of this in place. We are already a delivery-based service. We already package our meals with the labels. We're guided by the health department already. So we were officiated from day one. And so it was very easy for us to transition. We just had to communicate with the gym owners as far as which ones wanted to maintain our service.
Sounds like communication is kind of number one right now for you, and I think for several different business owners that I've talked to, big or small. Something, though, that a lot of small business owners, I think, are facing right now is applying for different loans, stimulus money, PPP loans, things like that. What has been your experience in dealing with any of these incentives designed for small businesses like yours?
Much like anybody else, when I first heard about it, I was super excited. I thought we all kind of had a way out, because I deal every day with small business owners. Several of my clients at here at Fit 5 are also small business owners, as well as just in my in my friends and family. As you know, with the last name, you know how many of us own small businesses. So I heard kind of the excitement amongst everybody day one, and then we started reaching out to our accountants and law officials, and everybody was telling us exactly what to do. And you get on these applications and you realize you need 25, 30 pages of information filled out. And we all needed it within this window, right? If you didn't have it in at a certain time, you would have been cut off from the initial amount that was funded. Unfortunately, we thought we made it in within that window, but we did not. And I thought we were one of the only ones left out of it. And then following people on social media and talking to other small business owners, I'd probably say 7 out of every 10 people that I know did not get that money just yet. So as exciting as that was at first, it was kind of like they dwindled it in front of us and it was pulled away. And I think you guys read more of the information that came with that companies like Shake Shack and Roots Chris. So some of the companies that have just a few less than 500 people were given that money. And if you know anything about small business, I've never seen a small business company ever be classified as like less than 25 employees. So.
Right. Well, and something, I think this is an interesting question that somebody had. I can't figure out, or I can't find who exactly asked, but somebody said, are you encouraging your employees, especially your trainers at the gym, to file for unemployment right now?
So absolutely. At the gym is a little bit different, because a lot of our trainers are part-time. They have other jobs and obligations. So it's a little bit different there than it was here at Fit 5. But absolutely, if they were able to get the unemployment, I would wholeheartedly understand that situation. I think the fear for us as business owners were that the rules to be abided by on the loans were that you kept your employees and that 75% of that money went to pay them. So I heard several restaurant owners, some very close friends of mine that own a franchise here locally in Birmingham. He had an issue where within one day he had 4 cooks leave him because unemployment was paying more than he was. So in those circumstances, I think it puts a bite on everybody, because you want, as an owner, I want the best for my employees, but I also have a business to maintain and operate. So that was definitely the biggest struggle of all this, was which of those two should they have done?
Right. And you have to, like you said, you have to understand that everybody has lives and families, and they've got to do what's right for them. But like you said, you're a business owner and you need your employees to be able to work, especially right now where a lot of people are having to put in maybe double the work just to get half of the return because of how crazy the situation is. Now, I know something that you've struggled with, especially on the gym side of your business, is that reopening plans. Now, I know that we had talked and there were different plans in place for reopening. There was some confusion with a lot of business owners after the Lieutenant Governor announced a proposal a few weeks ago. And then some businesses, especially small businesses, thought, okay, I might be able to open. They spent time formulating a plan. Then we have Governor Ivey have her press conference yesterday, and we figure out that it's just retail opening. So that leaves restaurants and other places and gyms like yourself and your business kind of up the creek, and you can't open right now. So how have you dealt with this ever-changing situation and changing these plans over and over again?
first, let me publicly apologize to our marketing manager and director on all this, because that was probably the biggest insult for this, was that we were formulating these plans every day, figuring out a way to communicate them, whether it be through Facebook, Instagram, emails, and the Facebook groups, as well as just, calling people firsthand. So, we spent all this time over the past week developing the plan for what we initially thought was going to be a reopening of May 1st with some strategic implementations in place. Less people in the classroom, face mask on the employees, gloves, things like that. So here it was this time last week that my partner and I, David Sherem, we were actually sitting over the phone in a Zoom call, and we went down the list. Okay, how exactly would we do this? What would we do if this circumstance comes up? What would we do if, B happens? And throughout that process, we implemented about a 5-page plan. We presented it to everybody that works for Gauntlet, because we had to make sure that each one of them were aware of their new goals and policies that needed to be in place. The next thing we did was we scheduled out for the month of May. So we started scheduling our employees for front desk, and then we started scheduling the trainers for the classes, because one of the things we were going to do was shorten class times and offer more of them, since less people were going to be in the space. So here it was, we did all that, and then on Monday, we actually did a Facebook Live with all of our members. They had the ability to listen to me explain exactly what was going on with the gym and how we planned on reopening. And then we get the notification yesterday from our governor that gyms did not follow those new guidelines. I think I even texted you like, hey, exactly what did that mean for us? Where did we lie on that? And then you kind of assured me that, yes, it did say, in fact, gyms are not allowed to be open.
That, and I hope that answers your question to Carl, but if it doesn't, Carl, yes, any of these athletic facilities, whether you're a small business like Paul, or if you are a bigger athletic facility with a pool or a sauna or something like that, those are all still closed. Doesn't matter the size. So just answering that for you. And an interesting question that I would love to hear your thoughts on, Paul, is somebody commented and said, do you feel like the little guys have been left out of these incentives and these stimulus incentives, these loans, things like that?
Oh, absolutely. Where do I begin, right? So I've had 15 employees here at Fit5 and 8 employees at Gauntlet. So what may seem from the outside in, Fit5 seems like a bigger company in the sense of we deliver all over the state of Alabama and into Georgia. So from the outside in, I think a lot of people were like, oh, that's a bigger company. They weren't affected by this. We got hit just as much as the next guy. I feel so sorry for all the business owners that have dealt with this. I follow a few groups on Facebook, and just hearing the horror stories. Most people start a small business within their savings account. I know some that have even done it on credit cards. And look, whether that's the right way to do this or the wrong way to do this, this has affected them horribly.
Right.
So super soft spot for me.
One of my dogs obviously has thoughts, and I think he's agreeing with you, Paul. But another a question that actually one of our reporters had, and I think it's interesting. He said gyms are no matter if it's a small gym, a large YMCA type gym, or Lifetime type gym, gyms are just hard to keep clean in general. That's kind of the whole point, is that people come in, they sweat, and they get dirty. That's the whole point of a gym. Now, I know that you can't reopen right now, and I know that you've gone ad nauseum over plans to reopen. So what are some of those things that you and your partner will take into account to keep your gym clean and safe?
So some of the things that we had implemented, and I saw this throughout several gym locations when they were all setting these procedures up with the assumption of May 1st. So 6-foot rules, less people in a class. So for example, we normally hold 16 people in a class time, 2 trainers and a front desk person. So we had that limited to the entire building having less than 10. So 1 trainer for 8 people total, and then 1 person working the front desk. Separating rooms. So whereas in a lot of big gyms, you'd be in passing a lot, they were going to separate workout areas so that people couldn't pass each other. Kind of like if you think about how grocery stores was doing, one aisle can only be entered this way. Very similar concept. So for us at the gym, we had taped out 6-foot boxes. So each member would be assigned to a box. So if Ivana signed up for a class online, Ivana could be box number 3, and she would have to stay within that box. We had the sanitizer wipes right there to be pulled down from the wall. So one of the things that you were going to be responsible for doing. So realize members have a role in this just as much, just like individuals do when they go to the grocery store. They have to, kind of, if you're feeling sick, if you're not feeling well, you shouldn't be going into these places. And the same thing applies for us. And that's why we were trying to give all this information to our clients so that they knew firsthand before they got there exactly what their role was to maintain. So keeping that 6-foot distance, wiping down your equipment before and after you use it. So you see a lot of gyms, Planet is known for having the spray towels and the spray bottles, but they normally have them like every 30, 40 feet. We were assigning them, and most of the gyms that I know were assigning them like every corner. Trash cans in every corner, sanitizers and pumps in every area. So that was one of the things that I saw. The other thing is by shortening our class times from 45 minutes to 30 minutes, we would get everybody out of the building, and then we would clean the place again for the next 15 minutes, start the next class 15 minutes after that. So we'd almost have a 30-minute window to resaturate the place with sanitizer and kind of clean everything back down and make sure that for the next class that came in, they weren't touching any equipment that anybody else touched.
Were you worried, or have any of your friends in small business ownership worried about being able to get all of the correct sanitizers, the cleaners, the PPE, things like that?
Well, isn't that great that they're requesting that everybody wear the mask, but yet the masks are unavailable on most sites, of course, Amazon. I have been able to get them from my food providers here at Fit 5. Cisco's and Woodforders are able to get their hands on them. So, but I think I'm lucky that I have the ability to source from them. So I was able to get a few things, but like the wipes, I was unable to get. I think my next batch of 1,500 wipes to the gym is not shipping till May 7th, which works now, right?
Right, for better or for worse, at least you'll get those wipes in. Something too that I think was interesting that we had talked about was, again, some of these things that have been changing over and over, or people heard rumors and thought things were going to change opening wise. And I know your business Fit 5 is a pickup. It's strictly pickup. How are you doing the pickup right now in this time of not coming into contact with people? And how are you asking those customers to respectfully pick up their food and leave?
So very similar to the processes of the way the rest like the curbside offering. So our health stores are offering curbside pickup. So Absolute Nutrition in Huntsville, Madison, and Decatur, the owner, Matt, after a couple weeks had implemented some really good processes where gone and hand off the food to that person, to that customer. Health stores luckily got deemed essential early on in this. So like the stores that we own, Elite Nutrition here locally, Hoover and Vestavia, we did have the ability to allow customers to come in. We implemented some sanitizing situations and procedures, as well as not allowing but so many people in the building at the same time. But our customers have been super awesome about this. If they didn't feel comfortable coming in, they called in advance. A lot of them were wearing masks. They brought in their own bags and put the food inside.
And I think you make a really good point in this, that customers make all the difference, and also customers have to be responsible. Like you said, for the gym, you expect your members and your clients to follow some rules and to keep their best interest in those of their fellow gym goers or their friends,
right,
to keep their best interest in mind as well. So I think that's a really good message, and something to remind everybody that everybody's got a role to play here.
Yeah.
Can you tell everybody if they have any interest in connecting with you or connecting with any of your businesses, where they can find you?
Absolutely. So I had told my wife early on when all this happened that if there was anything that I wanted to do personally, other than feeding our heroes and taking care of my members at the gym and making sure that everybody, stayed in shape and stay on track, the other thing that I wanted to do was kind of be some resource to small business owners. I've been doing this for quite some time. I have a lot of family members that do it. So I wanted to be able to hand out some of that information. So you guys can reach me at info@fit5meals.com or at info.
Advice, if anybody didn't get that, please comment and I will respond to you with that information. If you need help, if you need advice and you're a small business owner, Paul is here for you, and we will get you connected with him if you need to be. So, Paul, thank you so much for using your time today to talk with us.
Thank you, Ivana.